Luke, I am your father. Okay, so maybe not Darth Vader, but we're here today with this mini oxygen concentrator. Sorry, I crack myself up sometimes. I know that was a really bad impression and a bad joke. But I'm here with this oxygen concentrator, and it's kind of cool. I remember, even 10, 20 years ago when these things would have been 5 times this size and you got to drag it around and stuff. But thanks to battery technology and I assume some of the other technology, these things have improved quite a bit. This only weighs about 1.5 kilograms. It's really a game changer. You can get about 3 hours off the battery. It comes with 2 batteries, so you can get about 6 hours total. It does charge via USB-C, so you can have one charging. The USB-C is actually on the battery instead of on the device, so you can have one battery charging while you're using the other battery. And yeah, it's just a pretty great little thing. Get this nice little package here. Everything's in there, real good foam. I've got it out of the box. Let me slide this out of the way, get the device and the accessories, and let's talk about it some more. So as you can see here, the device is relatively small. It does have D-rings, so you can put shoulder strap on it and all of that. But I'm not using this for medical reasons, so I'll talk about the medical reasons first. These are pretty handy. My mother has COPD and some other respiratory issues. She's not to the point where she needs oxygen, but her mother needed oxygen for the last 10 or 15 years of her life. So she was always tethered to a tank, had to take the tank everywhere, had one of these that was 20 or 30 feet long. You're always tripping on it in her living room when you go to visit. She could have had something like this, and then she could have gone to the store. It would have been, a little bit easier. She still had a big, heavy oxygen bottle she could wear, similar to this, but this is so much lighter. It would have been so much easier. Say your oxygen supply runs out and you need oxygen. You could always use this in a pinch. Say there's a storm and people can't get to your house, whatever, things like that. Pretty cool. Some athletes have also been using oxygen therapy when they're doing altitude training, when they're doing post-workout recovery. So might be a use for that. Also, say someone has a severe reaction to something, allergies, whatever. Just a nice thing to kind of have in your first aid kit if you're topping off the batteries regularly. Leave them about 80%, come back every few months, cycle them, etc. Emergency preparedness was an actual draw to this for me. I was like, yeah, that'd be nice to have in my kit, but that's not what I intend to use it for. Also, if you're going hiking in extreme elevations and you're not adapted to the altitude, this could come in pretty handy. You could take it with you. If you're struggling, you can stop, rest for a little bit, run that for 15, 20, 30 minutes, kind of get oxygenated again and go back on your hike. It does have a high altitude mode on it, so you can use it at high altitude. That way it knows what it needs to do. It'll do continuous usage. I said, with the batteries about 6 hours. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You should be able to take it on planes because it's not compressed oxygen. You'd have to check on the battery capacity before you flew, but I think it would be all right. You could also take it on trains, subways, etc., which may not allow oxygen tanks because it's not storing any oxygen. It's literally just using a process to concentrate the oxygen in the air that it sticks out the cannula, I think that's called. But yeah, it's nice and portable and everything. Let me show it to you here. You do have vents on either side that you need to keep unobstructed. You just use these disposable tubes. They just pop in relatively easy. There you go. Get a nice little seal. It goes right there. It does come with 3 of these, and it comes, like I said, with the extra battery, which is, I believe, in that bag. We'll get in there in a minute. I actually haven't looked at what all's in the bag. Turn it on, you just, let's see, I think you long press it. Yep, you long press it. It's got a little display. So it's saying, 22% is what it's detecting. That's about the atmospheric oxygen level, 22%. So to turn it on, you're just going to turn it once, and here is a downfall to it. It is pretty loud. It'll also stand on its own, which is nice. You can set it on the table next to you or whatever, and then you're not blocking the vents. This is about the level of noise it's going to make while it's operating. I saw one reviewer say that, you could take this to movies. If you took this to a movie theater, you're going to be harmed. Someone is going to physically assault you because this thing is loud. There's no way you're taking this to a movie theater unless you're turning it off as soon as the movie starts. And even before the movie, people might get kind of grumbly. But once this warms up, then it'll start working. And then it's got 4 settings here. It takes about, a minute or 2 to warm up. It does have this nice little carrying case. It's just kind of friction fit, so you just can pull it right off. You would do that to change the battery. So this continues to warm up. You do get this nice little carrying case here. Let's see. Got a little side pouch that doesn't have anything in it. It does come with your warranty card. Sorry guys, I got the sniffles today. It's the allergies. That was the tube that I used. Has a pretty nice USB-C to wall outlet. It's got a nice ferrite choke on it, but that's, let's see if it says. So it looks like it'll do 15 watt, 27 watt, 36 watt, 45 watt, or 100 watt. I don't actually know what this will charge at, but you do have that. Here's your extra battery. I'm just gonna leave it wrapped. Well, let's see if I can open it without destroying the bag. Usually these bags you can't really get open. Oh, cool, there we go. So there's your battery. It's just, you know, that big. It's the little part on the bottom. You pop it off. There's one way to put it on. It's got nice rubber feet. And you get your little open button, and then there's the USB-C port I was talking about, so you can charge it when it's not on the device. That is nice. Some of these things require you to charge via the device instead of having it on the battery. It's really nice that this has the battery because it gives you that versatility to recharge while you're using the next one. And then it did come with the nice little strap. It looks like there's actually two here, so you could do it in like backpack mode, or you could just use one and wear it like a shoulder bag. Those straps do feel a little slick, so they may slide around a little, but the weight of this should keep it in place. So it's still warming up, and it should start here in a minute. And while it's doing this, you don't want to breathe it. At least that's what it said. I don't know why. I imagine it's just not doing too high. Oh, no, it has started. I just missed when it started. So it's pumping out at 92% right now. You do have that on the display. You can also go in here and turn the audio off. You do that with the scroll wheel. It does not remember your settings between uses. It tells how long I've ran it for. I ran this for about 15 minutes yesterday just to see what it would do. And so it hasn't ticked up to an hour yet. Eventually you will need to change something in here. I forget exactly what it's called. But there's a filter that'll need cleaned or serviced or replaced, and then there's like the membrane kind of thing that's actually doing the concentration. Eventually that's going to need replaced, and you'll have to reach out to them. I don't know what those replacement costs are. It does detect if you're respirating or not, so it knows I don't have it in right now. Not actually sure how it detects that, but it does. And then it just kind of tells you your firmware there and some other stuff. Oh, since I'm not actually breathing into it or using it to breathe, it actually shut itself off. And then you just turn it back on. And then, like I said, there are 4 power levels. And I think that's just the velocity at which the air is coming out, not necessarily anything else, because the percentage doesn't change. Now, their website says it'll do like 94, 95%. I've not seen it get that high. It'll bounce between 91 and 93, but that's still a lot better than the atmospheric oxygen level of 21 to 22%. That's pretty much it. To shut it off, I think you just long press. Yep. Now it'll do a cooling down cycle too, which it actually has seconds remaining, unlike the heat up, which doesn't have that. But that's pretty much it. This is the Bioka C6 mini oxygen concentrator. Again, really useful for your first aid, or if you have a family member that is on medical oxygen, it might be nice to have this as like a backup. Obviously, you should always have an appropriate amount of oxygen on hand for them, but sometimes supply chain things happen. Maybe the truck that delivers breaks down, you know, nice little thing. Right now it's priced at about $1,000. That seems excessive, but considering the amount of technology that's in this thing and how small the form factor is now, it's actually really impressive. So what I intend to do with this thing is experiment with some concentrated oxygen on my main channel in the future. I also want to revisit this in a few months. I'm going to have occasion to be above 1 mile of altitude later this year, and I'm curious to see how that impacts me, because I've never been above like 700, 900 feet of elevation, and I'm going to over 5,000 feet of elevation. I think it's like 6,000. So I'm going to take this along with me, and we'll see if I need a little pickup from it. I did use this with a like cheap $50 pulse oximeter, and you know, my oxygen levels are usually like 97 to 99% anyway, so I couldn't really see how much benefit there was from it right now because I'm not in a position to actually need supplemental oxygen. But once I do get out there to the high desert, it will be interesting to check out. So stay tuned for that. That probably won't be till like August or September of 2025. So it's going to be a while, and I wanted to get this video up. I will see you guys in the next video. Let me know if you're using this for any athletic reasons, something like this. I know all the medical reasons, like, you know, COPD and, you know, all kinds of lung issues and stuff. But if you're doing this for some sort of physical benefit, like, some sport or something, altitude training, let me know. I'm genuinely curious. I can't find a lot of data on people using this kind of stuff for that, so I would love to hear any anecdotal data. Anyway, see you in the next video.